Let's see if I can hook up a computer and tell a few jokes at the same time. So, how many people made it down to Will Harris's yesterday? There's a lot of them, yeah. Did y'all get to listen to Will? Talk to him? Well, me and my editor, Hal, have been listening to Will quite a bit over the last few months, and it's been a pleasure, a real pleasure. One of the best things in my life right now is meeting you all, the folks who are changing the way we treat our soils. You know, soil health equals farmer wealth. That's the phrase that's in my mind a lot lately. And through the films that we're making, we want to tell the world what you guys are inventing and figuring out and relearning, because what you're doing is going to make this world a much better place, and we're here to make sure that your stories get out there.
I understand a bunch of y'all are Yankees. I hope you understand me. I think they got subtitles up here, don't they? I got real bad news. Peter, I'm not used to speaking after a film like that shown, and I'm a one-trick pony, and y'all have seen my trick. So I guess I'll just tell you again kind of what Peter just told you. My farm, White Oak Pastures, some of y'all visited us yesterday. And by the way, my voice is not too good today. I said more words yesterday than I've said since Christmas. But I'll do the best I can. My great-grandfather came to the farm we work today 150 years ago this year, 1866. We've made a lot of bad decisions in our family's history. We backed the wrong pony when the North invaded the South in 1861, and he lost the farm that he had 3 counties north of where we are. He provisioned his own Southern Cavalry unit. It didn't work out. It did not work out like the brochure said, so he was not reimbursed. He and 100 emancipated slaves brought some livestock with them, a herd of cows and some other things to the farm, and started Sustenance Farm in 1866. The descendants, our cattle today, are the descendants of the cattle he brought in 1866. I guess one of the things that I enjoy most about this journey that my family is on is the way that the farm has come so full circle during the 5 generations we've been around. You know, what we know about the way my grandfather farmed is mostly anecdotal. We just know through history how people farmed in 1866. And it would have been a sustenance farm with very high regard for animal welfare and land stewardship, because that's the way people farmed. All the wealth they had was in their land and animals. My father and my grandfather was much the same way, although he was very entrepreneurial. And he and his farm employees actually killed animals on the farm at daylight 6 days a week, loaded the meat, poultry in a mule-drawn wagon. The employee took it to the little town of Bluffton, 2.5 miles away, and people would come out and get 2 chickens or a duck or a chuck or off the wagon, or a ham, and give a piece of paper to the employee. He'd come back, and my granddaddy would ride Dag, that was that horse in the picture here, to town on Saturday to get paid. And you know, that's the epitome of what we do today. You know, we raise many animals on the farm, we slaughter them on the farm, and we sell it more or less locally. Now, we got internal combustion engines and USDA refrigeration, so there's a lot of differences, but the fundamentals are the same. My father took over the farm post-World War II, and we all know that history. That is the era in which the United States, post-World War, changed agriculture more than it ever changed before or since. We can talk a lot about those changes, but basically they industrialized, commoditized, and centralized. And it was done for a very good and noble cause. Europe was starving. It was done to make food cheap and abundant and safe from the perspective you don't eat it and get an acute illness that day. And it did it. Unfortunately, there were huge unintended consequences. And those unintended consequences fell clearly, in retrospect, on the backs of the animals' welfare, on the degradation of our land, and on the impoverishment of rural America. Unintended consequences. I went to the University of Georgia, majored in animal science, and I was even more linear Western alpha male than my daddy was. I really torqued it up. For me, a label instruction was kind of like a starting point. And I farmed like that for 20 years, and I was good at it. We made money every year. The cows were really, really, really cheap. We made just a little bit of money. When the cows were high, it was much better. We reinvested in the farm. During my father's watch, we went to monoculture of only cattle, and pretty much a monoculture of Tifton 85 Bermuda grass. And if you grew in my pasture, if you weren't Tifton 85 Bermuda grass, I would spray you. We wanted nothing but cows eating one variety of grass. I operated like that for a long time. By the mid-90s, I had becoming disillusioned with the excesses of the production system I was in. We were still profitable, and it was fine. I was raising my family, educating my children, but didn't enjoy it as much as I had. And it was during that era that I started hearing about sophisticated consumers choosing to eat grass-fed beef. And I considered that model, and I said, I can do that. And I gave up performance-enhancing drugs, hormone implants, subtherapeutic antibiotics, confinement feeding of grain, and that's where I raised my cattle. And I didn't make as much money as I did previously because performance was affected, but we were still profitable and it was okay, and I liked it better. So I raised cattle like that for a few years and never intended to do anything any different. And then I became sensitive to the fact that what I was doing to my land was not good. We were putting copious quantities of fertilizer. James out there, we were in the fertilizer business one time. Spraying pesticides anytime there was something out there that I didn't like. Tilling up soil when I needed to, when I wanted to. So I made the decision to give those things up. No more chemical fertilizer, no more pesticides, no more tillage. And I farmed like that for a while, and that was painful. That was economically more painful than the first step. But I did it. And at that point, we were not making money, as much money, because I was putting value in my product, still a monoculture of just beef, putting value in that product that I was unable to extract from the market because I was still selling them mostly conventionally. But I farmed like that for a few years, and I wasn't having much fun economically, but I liked what I was doing. And I started seeing my pastures particularly fall apart. If you don't use the industrial tools that science has given us I just ticked them off for you. You cannot maintain a monoculture. Nature abhors a monoculture. And nature won't allow a monoculture unless you use these tools reductionist science has given us that allows the monoculture, at least for a while. So, as an example, I started having invasive weeds that my cattle just wouldn't eat unless I perished them to make them eat it. I don't like perishing cows. So we brought sheep on the farm. And luckily by that time my father was deceased because we wouldn't have had sheep. He called them pasture maggots. But I brought the sheep on, and the sheep and the cattle just worked beautifully together. So we kept adding species, and today we pasture raise cows, hogs, sheep, goats, rabbits, chickens, turkeys, geese, guineas, ducks, in addition to pastured eggs and a few certified organic vegetables. So I farmed like that for a few years, and then I started having real problems with processing. I was having to haul the animals 100 miles. The people that were slaughtering my animals didn't necessarily share the animal welfare. Their feelings about animal welfare were not where ours was. So we built our own processing plant, the red meat plant first, and later the poultry processing plant. And at that point, I was irrevocably committed, and financially, I'd gone from having 1,000 acres of land, 700 something cows, all paid for, making money every year, to borrowing $7.5 million to build the infrastructure and losing money every year. I lost money every year for 5 years. I had no idea what a loss carry forward was until that era. And they were not much fun either. So we farmed like that. We were literally going broke. I paid my bills every time they were due, but I was paying it with borrowed money, and it was not sustainable. Fortunately, we caught traction, and the business became profitable and cash flow positive, and it has continued to be so, and is today. It's certainly not a get-rich business, but it's a stable enough business that I feel comfortable bringing 2 of my children and their spouses back into. If you look at my annual profit, you would say for a farm, that's pretty good. Not great, pretty good. If you calculated the return on what I've got invested, you would say, shit, I don't want to be in that business. But we are, and we're glad we are. We're having a lot of fun. I'm very proud of the impact that we're making on the economy of the local community. Now, let's be clear here. I'm a lot of things, but I'm not a hypocrite. I've never done anything, taken any risk for the local community. None. Everything I've ever done has been for my family. But we've gone from having 3 minimum wage cowboys and selling $500,000 worth of live cattle a year to having 120, maybe a little more employees, selling $20-something million worth of product a year. And I'm proud of the fact that nobody that works for me makes minimum wage. Everybody makes a good bit over that. Our employees make probably 20-something% more than the county average. We subsidize health insurance. A little restaurant that showed up there, employees and their families eat for half price and drink for half price. We did have to redefine family. Does he live in the house with you every single day? But if he does, he can eat for half price and drink for half price. So that's what we do. There's a lot of projects that we want to do. I finally, after about a dozen times, learned that to implement a new project, you got to have money, management, and time. I started many projects and I thought 2 out of 3 would be okay, but it's not. You got to have all 3. but we got a lot more things we want to do. You know, I've realized that what we're doing is a journey. It's not a destination we won't ever be through, but we're enjoying the trip. Now, if y'all through, I'm about out of water. So thank y'all very much, man.